Now, shares of Paytm's parent company, One97 Communications, plunged more than 4% after the Enforcement Directorate sent a notice of over 600 crore rupees to the fintech firm for alleged violation of FEMA, or Foreign Exchange Management Act rules. In a regulatory filing, Paytm said that it received a notice from the Enforcement Directorate for alleged violation of certain FEMA rules by the company and its two subsidiaries, Little Internet and Nearbuy, with respect to certain investment transactions. Now, in its notice to the firm, the Enforcement Directorate flagged that Paytm's flagship company, OCL or One97 Communications Limited, made foreign investments in Singapore but did not file necessary reporting to the Reserve Bank of India. Paytm later clarified that the alleged breach pertains to the period when the two companies were not its subsidiaries. And now we have Dr. Srinath Sridharan, policy researcher and corporate advisor, now joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Srinath Sridharan, thank you so much for being with us. Talk to us. You know, Paytm has been in the dock on multiple locations with respect to the RBI and other issues. How serious is this latest notice from the Enforcement Directorate for the company?
Yeah, Krishna, I think we'll have to break this into two parts. One part is the two subsidiaries that they're saying that they did not own until 2017 is a fair one if we go by the date lines. The other one is pertaining to their establishing a step-down subsidiary which they were supposed to have taken prior intimation of the approval of the RBI, which they have not. And I think about 230 crore rupees allegedly by the ED is for OCL issues. It is not about the other two subsidiaries. So it won't be fair to say that it is all about only Paytm. It is part Paytm, and I'm sure as any shareholder transaction, past liabilities would be to the account of whoever sold it, Groupon in that case. So Paytm, this is serious because it clearly says that the regulatory requirement of RBI's approval was not taken and to open the subsidiary and for investments that came into the country. So that's a big breach of compliance. Can it be cured? The answer is yes, it can be cured. But the reality is, how seriously is it going to be taken as a cognitive offense? That's a larger challenge. This is only a show cause notice, so we must be very mindful not to jump to conclusion. The company has time to intimate and to inform, and with all details, I think it will play out on its own.
Okay, so for those users of Paytm out there watching, so no immediate concerns on that front. But the fact of the matter is that this comes on the back of multiple times, being under the lens for Paytm as a company, isn't it? So, and that's the reason why there is a build up to this. So this is not in isolation.
So it's not in isolation. And if you look at the time period also, Krishna, it looks like, the regulatory action that RBI took on the Paytm Payment Bank and what we have seen over the last couple of years have all been around the time when compliance probably was seen as a subsidiary or a subservient to innovation or technology. I think the message is out there for a listed entity, compliance cannot be taken lightly and governance not at all. And for a listed entity in the financial services space, mind you, Paytm can claim itself to be a technology company, but the reality is if you're in the regulated space of financial services, you have to behave like a finance company rather than a technology company.
You have to behave like a finance company rather than a technology company, and that's where Paytm hasn't found lacking. Be it in terms of the rules that it had to follow from the banking end of things for the Paytm Payments Bank, or for the matter operating as a financial transaction platform provider. Where does Paytm go from here?
I think they will have to strengthen compliance or take it far more seriously than what they have so far. You can be a great poster boy for technology or innovation, but there is only so much of goodwill or leeway that the financial regulators will give you for compliance and governance. You can't stretch the elasticity of testing that anymore. So my drawdown on this would be great innovators, fine, but innovators, if you don't continuously innovate, you don't stay the course. And two, compliance. Without compliance, financial entities just don't survive.
Right, but Paytm on its part says that the period 2015-2019, that's when these two companies, that is Little Internet, was not were not even part of Paytm. They were not its subsidiaries.
That's true, but Krishna, as I said in the beginning, there were two sides to this entire thing. One, the two entities that they were bought. Now probably Paytm has to prove to the authorities that in their due diligence that this does not come up, and anything liabilities would be paid back by the original owners. Something like that would be carved out. Two, one part, I think about 230 crores of alleged this thing in the show cause notice is actually pertaining to OCL. It is not pertaining to those subsidiaries. Either the money came into the country and without proper intimation, and two, for a Paytm to have set up a subsidiary, step down subsidiary without RBI approval. So that will be taken far seriously, where even the Paytm's regulatory filing was not clear on that. The first one was very clear, saying that these are two subsidiaries which we acquired, that's fine. But what about your own entity, parent entity? Where is that answer? And I think that's where markets would look for granular details. Their filing is not granular on that.
Their filing is not granular on that. Just one last thing for all those watching this broadcast, the consumers out there, while they're using Paytm's products and services, what is that the one thing that they need to keep in mind when they watch news like this coming out?
So I think don't panic. I mean, the one very clear, these are pertaining to the parent company or any of those subsidiaries. As long as the wallet, one thing I have deepest confidence in our Indian financial regulator. They don't let down a company. They don't leave the consumers in lurch. If you remember, even when they paused the Paytm Payments Bank issue last year, none of the subscribers were ever affected. Not a single rupee was lost. They ensured that there was a plan B for everything. And that's how, especially the RBI operates, that consumer comes first. So technically and theoretically, let me stress this out. Even if they were to take any action against the company or the board or the promoters, the customers are not going to make to suffer.